Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwaraha, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Gurave Sarvalokanam, Vishaje Bhavaroginam, Nidhaye Sarva Vidyanam, Dakshinamurtaye Namaha. Hari Om. Yogena Chittasya Padena Vacham Malam Sharirasya Cha Vaidyakena Yopakarotam Pravaram Munina Patanjalim Pranjalarinanatosmi. So last time we looked at what is God. That being which is free from klesha, karma, vipaka and ashaya. Which is free from misery, which is free from actions, its consequences or impressions, and even the intention to act. That which is the source of everything, but that which is not interested in engaging in anything, that consciousness is Ishvara. And in that stillness of that consciousness is the source of all knowledge, material as well as spiritual. And this knowledge has been guiding light for all the masters from before, now, and will continue in the future. And the best way to address this consciousness is the pranava or the Om. Now, tat japas tadartha bhavanam. By meditatively repeating the Om, that divinity is experienced, that expansiveness, that consciousness which is free from misery, actions, its impressions and the intention to act is experienced. That stillness of that consciousness of that being is experienced by the chanting of Om in a meditative state. Tatah pratyak chetanadhigamo api antaraya abhavascha. And when you do this, when you meditate over the sound Om, you attain the knowledge of the pure consciousness. Pratyak Chetana, the default consciousness we are aware is that which functions in the material world as the body and the mind. The consciousness which is separate to this, the pure being that you are, that you come in contact with by the chanting of Om. And not only that, Antaraya abhavascha. Antaraya are the obstacles. It will also thin down the obstacles that can come to you on the path. What are the obstacles? Vyadis, Dhyana, Sanshaya, Pramada, Alasya, Avirati, Bhranti Darshana, Alabdha Bhumikatva, Anavastitatvani, Chitta Vikshepaste Antarayaha. What are these obstacles that can happen in the path of yoga? So we might have experienced one or all of them at some point or the other being on the path. Vyadhi is illness. When you are ill, you can't sit and meditate. Meditation does not happen that very easily because your energy is so low when you are physically ill. And also not have the strength to do the other aspects. You may not be able to breathe deep. You may not be able to do your asanas. You may not be able to focus. Sthana is procrastination. Postponing things. Oh, we'll do it some other time. Oh, next week we can do. Next advanced course we will see. This time it's okay. Let me go do something else. Procrastination is dhyana. Sanshaya. Sanshaya, you're doing it, but somewhere inside you are not convinced that it is working for you. You're doing it because everybody else is doing, everybody else is going for the follow-up, everybody else doing their practices. So you also don't want to miss out, but deep inside you don't trust it. You don't have the conviction that it is working for you. You feel that nothing is happening with you. Pramada. Pramada is knowing very well that you should do something and not doing it. No, you know very well it is important to do your sadhana regularly, but not doing it regularly. That is pramada. Alasya. Alasya is laziness. Avirati. Not able to rise above the cravings for the pleasures of the senses. You want to sit and meditate, you smell something nice from the kitchen, then you think, let me eat it now. We can meditate later on. Giving in to the senses, not being free from the temptation of the senses is avirati. Bhranti darshana. Bhranti darshana is you sometimes experience some things which are a little bit not so normal according to your understanding, and that puts you off. Sometimes some people come for hollow and empty meditation advanced course and they get terrible headaches or body aches, and they think, no, this is not right. So they just don't come back again. Or some people come for Kriya and they've experienced something which scares them off, and they feel, no, this is something where they feel they are losing control, and something, even though it is of a different dimensions, they don't feel the courage to enter into it fully. Bhranti darshana, hallucinations, you can say. An experience which you can't explain, but you just don't want to have it again. Alabdha bhumikatva. Alabdha bhumikatva means you experience a deep state of peace at some point, but it does not stay. When you meditate in a group or when you come for a course, or sometimes it happens, but when you are practicing by yourself, nothing is happening. You feel it is so superficial, so shallow. You are not able to recreate that steadiness, that pleasantness, that stillness with your practices. Then anavastitatvani. Anavastitatvani is unsteadiness in you. You are too wishy-washy. You want to do this also, you want to do that also, you want to go here, you want to go there, you want to do this practice, you want to do that practice. There is a lack of commitment to one-pointedness, is anavastitattva. So you dig all over the place, reaching nowhere, just wasting your effort. Chitta vikshepa. So all these things keep your mind distracted and not focused. And these are the antaraya. These are the obstacles for you in the path of yoga. What are they? Vyadhi, illness. Sthana, procrastination. Sanshaya, doubt about the practices. Pramada, not having enough dhriti to go ahead with what you know is correct or what you knew should be done. Alasya, laziness. Avirati, still held within the temptation zone of your senses. Bhranti darshana, having unable to move through the experiences which may not be comfortable but which are good for you, but you just don't want to be with them. Alabdha bhumikatva, not able to sustain your experiences, not able to go deeper into your practices. Anavastitatvani, lack of commitment to one-pointedness, to one technique. And chitta vikshepa, a scattered mind. And what is the consequence of these obstacles? Dukkha daurmanasya angame jayitva shwasa prashwasa vikshepa sahabhuvaha. What accompanies these vikshepas are dukkha, a sense of sadness. Daurmanasya, bitterness. Angame jayitva. A lack of coordination in the body. The mind wants to say something, the body does not want to do it. Or the body wants to do something, the mind is not cooperating with it. You're doing your asana, you just don't want to hold yourself for a little more. You just give up. Alarm rings, you just don't want to get up. Angame jayitva, where the body is not listening to you. Shwasa prashwasa. The breathing is all over the place, irregular pattern of breathing. These accompany the obstacles. If the obstacles are not handled very well with discipline, then these negativities arise in you. Tat pratishedartham ekatattva abhyasaha. How do you overcome these obstacles? One pointed practice. He gives a list of things. You said pick any one of them and go deep into one thing. Practice just one thing with all sincerity and you will be able to overcome the obstacles. And what are the options he gives? Maitri, Karuna, Mudita Upekshanan, Sukha Dukkha, Punya Apunya Vishayanan, Bhavana Tat Chitta Prasadanam. So, how to keep your mind focused? When the mind is pleasant, contented, the mind will be focused. So he says one technique is this. How do you keep it? Maitri with Sukha. With people who are happy, become friendly. Karuna and Dukkha, people who are miserable, have compassion with them, towards them. Mudita, Punya, and people who you feel are blessed, are divine, they are wonderful, feel a sense of love and oneness with them. And people, apunya, the wicked or the evil or the people whom you don't approve of, or people who are doing things which you don't like or which is disturbing to you, upeksha, be indifferent, ignore. When you have these attitudes to these different types of people, then chitta prasadanam bhavana. Your mind will be steady and pleasant irrespective of this. If you don't become friendly with the happy people, then you'll feel jealous of them. If you start becoming too much worried about people who are unhappy, then the unhappiness will start affecting you as well. If you don't feel oneness with those who are really wonderful, then you start finding faults in them. And if you don't ignore the people who are irritating to you, then they will occupy your whole mind space. So your mind will be disturbed and distracted. So with this attitude, if we can have this principle, happy, friendly with the happy, compassion towards the unhappy or people who are sad, feeling one with the blessed ones, and being able to be indifferent to those who are troublemakers, then you will be able to maintain your mind steady. What else? Prachardana vidharana abhyanva pranasya. You can also attain the steadiness in your mind through pranayama. By managing the pattern of your breath, the breath which is irregular all over the place, by controlling this inhalation and exhalation in a particular type of counts, holding the puraka, kumbhaka, rechaka and shunyaka, the different aspects, attending to them through pranayama also, you can keep the mind steady. Vishayavati va pravrittir utpanna manasa sthiti nibandhini. When you practice, sometimes you may experience a pleasant sensations. When you do your long kriya, you may wake up and find you feel light, contented, happy, a sense of calmness, love towards everything. And you like that. You say, oh, I like that way. So you go to that experience again and again. Or sometimes when you practice something for a long period of time, say for example, it is said in the Siddhi Sutras, when you keep your attention on the tip of your nose and practice that, you sometimes start smelling some wonderful fragrances. Sometimes it may happen during your advanced courses that you may feel that you are smelling some fragrances. You may be seeing some light. So these pleasant sensations that arise within certain practices also keep you with the practices. Don't distract you. Vishokava Jyotishmati. Becoming aware, you are not just this bundle of flesh and muscles and bone, but you are pure energy, which is effulgent, bright and illuminant, which is the source of all illumination. Everything that is happening in you and around you is happening by the illumination of this self. You are that bright self which is glowing, and that is free from shoka. By focusing on this bright spot which you are, pure energy, the consciousness which you are, also the mind becomes steady. Mind does not get lost in the external. Vita raga vishayan va chittam. Or what also you can do, dwell on that being or that individual who are not tempted by the world. Maybe your Ishta Devata, maybe your Guru, maybe somebody whom you look up to, and you see them, you see the wisdom in them, you see that steadiness in them, you see that in the middle of all the temptations, they move through it without being attached to that. And focusing on them or on their form also will make your mind steady. Swapna nidra gnana lambanam va. Also, becoming aware of the knowledge of sleep or dream. So what happens in sleep? Every day in sleep, what happens? You die. Sleep is like a mini death, isn't it? When you sleep, what happens? First of all, your identity dies. This body also dies, isn't it? You are not aware of this body. That's why when people they are sleeping, they look so ugly. At the same time, their body appears so heavy. They feel like a corpse. They say, it's a dead weight, they say, when somebody is asleep. And then what? Your entire world disappears. All your relationships disappear. All your problems disappear. This is what happens when you die. So, the perception of world, where does it come? It comes through the sense objects. The senses perceive the objects and then they are conveyed to the mind, and the mind perceives. And for the mind to perceive, it needs the fuel from the prana. So in sleep, the prana is absorbed into the self. So the mind has no energy, so the mind does not perceive. Your whole world disappears. All the imaginations of the mind are not there. Yeah. So just becoming aware of this process, that every night I die and then I wake up fresh the next day morning. That takes away the biggest fear of your life, that is death. Oh, death is not something very new. I go through this every day. Also knowing that when the mind is absorbed into the prana, there is deep rest. And that is what I do in meditation. All this disturbance that I am having in my life is because the mind is moving outwards and engaging in all these things. And when it does come back to its source, then there is steadiness. So this knowledge will make you steady. And the knowledge of dream. What is dream? The mind which is so active during the day, engaging in so many things, its momentum has not stopped even when you have gone to sleep. And so the prana is not absorbed itself back into the self. The prana is still feeding the mind because the mind has not settled down fully, and it is throwing all its recollecting the impressions in the inner screen. So you dream so many things. Some people even in sleep they talk, some people even walk in their sleep. Why? Because you are not allowed the mind to settle down. Your engagement, your fears, your worries, your anxieties are so much. Then you realize that, oh, what am I doing? I'm not letting go. Understanding the dream is nothing but an imagination of the disturbed, restless mind will help you go into your practices, and as you practice more and more, you will realize that your dreams become less and less and your sleep becomes deeper and deeper. So knowledge of sleep and dream also will help you to let go of the world. Yatha bhimata dhyanatva. And he says, or else any other thing, any other meditation with which you have some sort of an affinity that appeals to you. Maybe Kriya appeals to you, maybe Sahaj appeals to you, maybe Holland empty is what you like, or maybe it is the Padma Sadhana which you like. So anything which you like, go deeper into it. By going deep into it, you can steady the mind. A steady mind is in a state of pleasantness, and in that state of pleasantness, the obstacles become thinner and thinner, and the consequence of those obstacles, which are those unpleasantness which is described, they will also not arise in you. And then, at this state of steadiness and pleasantness, you can enter into Samadhi. Paramanu Parama Mahatvanto Asya Vashikaraha. So when you hold on to one of these practices and stay with them for a considerable period of time, your awareness heightens. Your awareness becomes sharp, and because of the sharpness of this awareness, what happens? Paramanu Parama Mahatvanto. You will become fully alert to all that is, from the minutest to the biggest. Anuraniyam Mahato Mahiyam. From the smallest to the infinite one, your awareness moves from this end to the other. You encompass everything. Nothing misses your attention. Kshina vrittir abhijatasya manehe iva grahitru grahana grahyeshu tatastha tadanjanata samapattihi. And what is the state of equanimity or samapatti or samadhi? As the tendencies of the mind thin out by your focused practices, your existence becomes like a maneva, like a crystal. Like a crystal means what? You completely reflect what is shining on you. The self shines on you. Usually what happens? The mind comes in the between, and the mind gives you a wrong perception of reality. When the mind's tendencies quieten down, then the reflection of the self is perceived by you as it is. The perceiver, the perception, the object of perception. So there is an object of perception, which is the world or the sense objects. And the perceiver is the witness, and the perception happens in the mind. So these three, which you also called as the gross body, subtle body, and the causal body. The object, the perception, the mind, and the perceiver, the self. All these three are aligned. When the vrittis become thinner. And this state of alignment is called Samadhi, the state of equanimity. Then he says there are two types of Samadhi. Savitarka, Nirvitarka Samadhi. Tatra Shabdartha Gnana Vikalpaihi Sankirna Savitarka Samapattihi. What is Savitarka Samadhi? A state of focus where the sound, its meaning, and the knowledge of that sound all come together. Say for example, many times you may be sitting in a boardroom meeting, or you may be sitting in a conversation where people are speaking, but not everything is going inside you. The words are heard, but the meaning of the word and the knowledge behind the word is not going through. That's why you don't remember everything. But when you sit for meditation, the first few minutes, you are sitting wanting to listen. And in that wanting to listen, what is happening? In that wanting to listen, all the three are coming together. Say for example, you hear this instruction. become aware of your body and the seat on which you are sitting. Now what happens? The sound is there, the meaning also you understand, and the reasoning behind it also comes to you, all comes together. So you are with it completely. So a state of focus which happens in the earlier stages of samadhi, earlier stages of meditation, wherein the sound comes along with the meaning and the knowing, is called savitarka samadhi. Then smriti parishuddhav swarupa shunyeva arthamatra nirbhasa nirvitarka. What is nirvitarka samadhi? As you go deeper into meditation, as you sit for a little longer, what happens? The sound comes and hits you, but maybe along with that the meaning or the knowing may not be that very relevant. The mind is not actively taking in the sound to decipher its meaning or the knowing. The sound just comes and moves away from you. The essence of the sound touches you, but the the explanation for that sound may not move through you. Are you getting what I am saying? Yeah. Say for example, you are doing the hollow and empty meditation. You are meditating. Sometimes initially you are very alert and aware of everything, and as you go deeper and deeper and sing, you sometimes hear the sound as if it is coming from a distance and moving away from you, but the meaning or what the sound is telling, it's not moving through you. You had this experience, right? And then there is a sense of timelessness also. This is a much deeper state than the first state. The earlier than the other state is where you are just sitting awake with the distracted mind. You are not focusing at all. You are hearing, but most of it is not being acknowledged. Then comes the state we are sitting with a focused mind, where the knowledge, the sound and the meaning come together. And then there is a deeper state where the sound comes, you acknowledge the sound, the essence of the sound also touches you, but there is no analysis of that sound. It just comes and moves through you. This is called nirvitarka samadhi. Now, etayaiva savichara nirvichara cha sukshma vishaya vyakyataha. Now, what we were speaking now, savitarka, this is all very technical. Okay, you all experienced all these things, so it may be easier for you to relate. Patanjali is just making sure nothing is missed. He is explaining every other different type of experience you go through when you sit for meditation. You now understood savitarka and nirvitarka. It is in your experience. Now we look at what is savichara and nirvichara. In savitarka and nirvitarka, we were focusing on the forms, on the gross forms. Okay, breath is moving like waves. You can visualize that. A form can come to your mind. Or you say, the seat on which you are sitting, you can become aware of your body, and these are all gross objects. What if the contemplation is on the subtle object, the formless ones? So when the contemplation in the formless ones, then similarly you have two types of samadhi, which are called savichara and nirvichara samadhi. Like, for example, we said, associate with this person in the sense of friendliness. We said friendliness. Friendliness has got no form, but then that feeling you experience, right? So it is that friendliness or love or compassion which don't have a form, but still there is an essence in that. There is a sense of feeling which you can relate to. When you are meditating and when you feel that essence of that, that is called savichara samadhi. What is this? Sukshma vishayatvancha alinga paryavasanam taiva sabija samadhi. Sabija savichara samadhi is what? Is when the mind contemplates the subtle formless objects. See, even the mind is an object. Your emotions are objects because they are the part of the scenery, but they don't have a distinct gross form. So when the contemplation is on the emotions or the formless objects, that is called as sabija or savichara samadhi. Nirvichara Vaisharadhye Adhyatma Prasadaha. Now the opposite of this, or one level deeper, is a Nirvichara Samadhi. Means even those contemplation has stopped. There is just a sense of I am in there. I am experiencing this, I am also, all that is not there. It's just a sense of that inner light or inner stillness or inner emptiness, whatever it is just there. When you get into this state where the mind is completely still, like a lake without a ripple, where the consciousness is reflected as it is, that is the state where you experience what? Adhyatma Prasada. The realization of the self, Adhyatma Prasada, happens in a state of thoughtlessness. Ritambara Tatra Prajna. The awareness which you experience in this state is Ritambara. Ritam is truth, is filled with truth as it is. This is the experiential reality. You experienced through it. It is not through understanding or listening or conceptualizing. Through your own experience, you have felt that expansiveness, felt that state of timelessness, thoughtlessness. Shruta Anumana Pragnabhyam Anya Vishaya Vishesha Artatvat. This experience is very different to the experience or the understanding you have got through listening, by guessing, by studying something. This is not the theoretical understanding. This is the understanding that has come from experience. This is what is called as an aparoksha. This is your direct realization. This state of timelessness. Sometimes people in the advanced course, they come out of a meditation and say, I don't know whether I was sleeping or as I was awake. I don't know where I had gone. I was lost completely. So there what happened? The mind, you are always used to perceiving everything through the mind. The mind was completely annihilated. When the mind gone, your world disappeared, time disappeared, and you come back suddenly, where was I all this time? This is Nirvichara Samadhi or Nirbija Samadhi. Tajja Sanskaro Anya Samskara Pratibandhi. What is the impact of this? The influence of this Nirvichara is so strong because you are totally in contact with yourself without the mind interfering. The mind is completely not there, so you are totally in contact with your true self. This can destroy all the impressions that the mind has generated. The impression of this Samadhi is so strong that it has the capability of destroying all other impressions. Tasyapi nirode sarva nirodhan nirbija samadhi. When even this sense of I am also disappears, that state is nirbija samadhi. And this is the ultimate flowering. So this is the last sutra of the Samadhi Pada, and here in this Pada, Patanjali discusses what is the ultimate state, ultimate realm that a human being can experience. And he says this is it. The state of Nirbija Samadhi is the ultimate flowering of human consciousness, and that should be attempted. How we are going to get to there, he says in the second chapter. By removing the kleshas, all the obstacles, how we can thin them out, and the 8 limbs of yoga, by practicing them, you can attain to this Nirbija Samadhi. So what all did he say here? First, in the beginning, he said, misery is experienced because you allowed the mind, the cyclical tendencies of the mind to flourish. You have to restrain the mind of its tendencies. That restraint is yoga. And when the restraint happens, then you experience equanimity. That equanimity is Samadhi. There are various types of Samadhi. Savitarka, Nirvitarka, Savichara, Nirvichara, and Sampragnata, Sampragnata. And the ultimate state of meditation is the Nirbija Samadhi, the state of thoughtlessness, where even the sense of I will disappear and just the pure consciousness shines through you, where the Jivatma and the Paramatma have become one. the individual consciousness, the individual self, and the bigger self or the small mind and the big mind have merged together, and there is only one. Okay? Jai Gurudev. Sarve bhavantu sukhinah, sarve santu niramayah, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kaschid dukkha bhat bhavet. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti.